love you guys.
Dance off, bro. I have the high ground.
Expecto Patronum!
39 days, 20 people, 1 survivor. On the Tribe of Nerds.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds. We have Kevin, Michael, and I here crossing over from our Survivor content.
It's me.
Yeah, here on Reality After Show, our 8th episode now and our 2nd of the Cornetto trilogy. We're talking about Hot Fuzz, and one of my favorite movies of all time. I know that it's one of Michael's, so
It's way too chocolatey now. I can't speak.
Yeah, you got the Cornetto.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm excited to talk about this movie. So the scores for Rotten Tomatoes, the critics gave Hot Fuzz a 91%, so one less than Shaun of the Dead, and the audience was a little bit lower and they gave it an 89%. Which I found a little bit interesting because I think this film is better than Shaun of the Dead slightly. And then the box office, it smashed the box office, got 80.7 million. So it did really well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, what are your guys' initial thoughts on Hot Fuzz?
I'll let Michael nerd out in a minute. But I would say, listen, I was a little concerned last week, Jake. I was like, what are these movies he's making me watch? Like the first half of Shaun of the Dead, I'm like, I don't know if I can do 3 weeks of this. And then it got better and I was like, okay, well, I mean, I guess this isn't too bad. But this one's actually really good. Like, I don't know all the details, and like I know there's like layers and everything, but like just as a one-time watch standalone movie, this is a good movie. Like, yeah, Olivia Colman,
yes,
hilarious.
Yes,
like her with her like big smile and her like cute little cheery voice, just saying like the raunchiest things is hilarious.
I know. I'm like,
yeah,
I love her being this.
Like last week, it seemed like they were just kind of doing that thing that some actors do when they just like play themselves, right? So like Ed was just a guy who just like kind of is that annoying friend, and like Simon Pegg is just kind of like that's what it seemed like. And so they were like actually like playing characters, and like there's a mystery, and like it was a good movie.
Yeah, well, and like both of them are still really likable in this movie. Like you completely get like the point of view of both of them. Like Danny is far less annoying than Ed was, and like Danny's a doofus, but he's a lovable doofus.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between just being a fuck up and being lovable. Like an idiot. And Danny's very lovable. It's funny you mentioned Olivia Colman because now she's this huge, crazy like superstar actress winning Oscars and stuff. But this is what I know. Olivia Colman was just a British comedy actor. Like she's in my favorite show, Comedy Peep Show, and she's in Hot Fuzz and a load of comedies. It was just crazy to see her blowing up into this like superstar, amazing actor.
I know her as like this super serious actress who's like a very good actress, and like she's like making jokes about girl on girl action.
But yeah, like comedy was her roots for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I liked it. But like I know there's a lot more to it than that. So like you go for it.
Yeah, go for it, Michael.
Okay. Welcome to my TED Talk. So I went to the cinema to see this movie when I was 17, and I absolutely hated it. I really didn't like it. I was a huge fan of Shaun of the Dead, and me and my mate went to see it. And I just thought it was kind of boring. I didn't really enjoy it. And it's just one of those movies that over the years I've watched again and again and again. It's every single time I watch it, I love it more to the point where it's now my favorite movie. And I think the reason I didn't like it is because I was an idiot. I was 17. I didn't understand any of its brilliance or the subtlety of the jokes and the amazing callbacks and foreshadowing and everything they did. I just thought it was very slow for the first half, and then they started killing people. But once you really spend time watching this movie over the years, there's just so much, like every single line of this movie is deliberate, and it's either setting something up or it's calling something back, or it's just a funny line. Like everything about this movie is so perfectly placed, and it all comes together in this amazing final act. And I just love it. I think every single time you watch it, it just gets better.
Yeah, absolutely. And like the fact I feel like this is the most like characters of this entire trilogy. Like you get so much of this like village, and like you know who these town members are. Like you at least have like, okay, this guy's a farmer, this guy's a doctor, like you know who they are. And like a lot of the characters have like a deliberate, like they're there for a reason. They're there to serve something in the plot, or like a moment where they're helping someone in the town or stopping someone from doing something. Like the guy that was it PC Walker, where he like can't, like nobody can understand him.
Yeah.
And like then he's talking to Arthur Webley about Chewing the Hedges because they both like have nobody understands either of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose. It's the landmine.
Yeah,
It's
like
also really funny. Oh, sorry, Kevin.
no.
That,
I was gonna say like
that
it's
scene,
funny.
yeah, that scene where you meet all these characters and Nicholas Angel's walking through the town.
Mhm.
In the very beginning, when he's talking to his ex Janine, he says guilty people often make the first move, and every single guilty character in this film says "Morning Angel" and introduces themselves to Nicholas in that first scene. So it really like sets up
Mhm.
who the villains are, while misdirecting you with that it's just James Bond who's going to be the main villain.
Yeah, Simon Skinner, yes, Timothy
Yeah.
Dalton, which he is fantastic, and I love that he's like the obvious one who's doing all
Yeah.
this. Like you know he's part of this from the beginning when he's like, "I am a slasher, I must be stopped."
Right.
Like,
Catch me later.
Yeah.
oh my God, it's so good. And then like even my other favorite scene is like when they are going to arrest him at the supermarket and just like giving out the logical reasons why this man should be arrested. And then it turns out it's not just him, it's the whole town, but also the fact like the reasoning is completely off because the logical reasoning that makes sense should be like normally what they would go after, but it's literally not even that. So it's
I love how they pull it all together with when they're looking for the swan, and it's like it's just the one swan actually. And
yeah.
then later on, it's like, any look, no look, catching them killers, then it's just the one killer actually, and it clicks in place. It's so good.
And then you have Danny giving himself brain freeze.
I was going to try and recreate it, but no. Oh,
But yeah,
Someone else
exactly.
talk.
He's a lovable doofus because he's getting brain freeze and it's like cute and funny. Whereas like Ed is like annoying and farting and like you're like, ugh. But this guy is like, oh,
you.
that guy has brain freeze.
But like, and like also like you genuinely feel like he's a good guy, and like at the end like he understands that what his dad is doing is wrong. Like his dad should not just be murdering people because like you know what happened with his mom. And so geez, it's so good. And yeah, also Frank Butterman is played by Slughorn from Harry Potter. So like that's it's really funny there. Yeah.
Those were Sarah movies. I'd block those out. I don't know.
Well, for the
I
greater
was going to say they're so good. They're not so good. They're all right.
well, for the greater good, we had to remove Sarah from the podcast.
For my
Great,
greater
good.
good.
So I do have one fun little tidbit about this movie that I don't know if you guys will know. So in the original draft of this movie, Nicholas had a love interest throughout the film called Victoria,
Oh.
and they ended up cutting her from the film, but they didn't cut any of the dialogue. They just gave it all to Danny. So all those scenes where it's like them together and they're being kind of cute was originally like where he goes and gets the peace lily for him, and when they're on the couch about like you need to switch off that big old melon of yours. Like I don't know how. It's like I can show you how. So they turned this love story and just turned it into like a friendship story, and I think it still works so well.
Yeah.
That's
and probably even
adorable.
better.
That's
Yeah,
adorable.
that like helps make him like adorable and lovable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the like, yeah, Nicholas needs to switch off, and then Danny needs to learn how to be like a better cop, and they both do that by the end of it. So,
Yeah.
like, it's so good. Um, yeah, I mean, like, any characters we want to talk about next? Because we've kind of mentioned Danny and Nicholas. We've kind of mentioned Simon Skinner. I mean, anybody else that like you guys are really itching to talk about?
I can recreate one.
Yeah, go for
You
it.
ready?
Oh yeah, the Andes. Yeah, the Andes are hilarious, and like the fact that they're like just assholes to like Nicholas and Danny, like just because like they keep talking about like obviously these are murders happening and they're just being horrible detectives.
Right.
Like,
Hilarious. They're hilariously bad at their jobs, but overly competent in them as well. And it's just like a
yeah,
very funny combination.
yeah,
It,
yeah.
my favorite line of the movie, well, I have two, is when he takes a sip of his pint. Nicholas is like, "You've got a
The
mustache."
mustache.
He's like, "I know." Just imagine his confusion as he thinks he is just telling him he has a mustache.
Oh my God, it's so good. And then just like obviously like the fun moment of like their introduction and then like Danny's like, them being called Andy makes both of them really hard to talk to, and then they just like throw like the the box at Danny's head. He's
Yeah.
like, fuck off. Uh, there's just so many fun characters, and then even like the deaths. I guess that's like the next logical step we should talk about. So let's talk about the deaths in this movie. So the first ones are Martin Blower and Eve Draper, and being like the horrible actors that maybe the worst reenactment of Romeo and Juliet that's ever been done.
They killed Bill Shakespeare. What?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
Uh,
it was so funny because they were very clearly murdered. Very
Yeah.
clearly. And then like,
yeah.
oh, it's a car accident. Like,
Yeah, they
what?
they just got
you can't you,
decapitated
you
by the
can't see
sign.
accident, Kevin. Traffic collision.
Yeah.
Doesn't he say later, like, my mom died in a traffic collision?
Yeah, and it's
Yes.
so nice because he learned from Nicholas like to stop saying accident. Like there's so many little things like that. Like when
Mhm.
he doesn't police officer and he's like oh, what's the other one? Damn. I can't remember,
Um,
but there's some fun moments like that.
well,
Does that mean that his mom was actually one of the victims of this whole cult?
I I think he says because they lost the village of the year
yeah,
and she
lost her
yeah,
mind.
so she
Yeah.
lost her mind. Yeah.
So I
So
almost think
essentially like it drove them over the edge.
right. I mean, because yeah, that could be alluded to for sure that they either killed her or like suicide or something. So I don't know.
Like
Um,
this movie's dark as well. It's also funny.
yeah,
It's like you know what he rounds up all the kids on his first day on the job.
yeah,
When he's at the station with the guy that's in the control center and he finds out there was graffiti on the walls, he tells Frank, "These kids need to be taken care of, Frank." And Frank says, "They're just kids; they'll grow out of it." He's like, "No, he's saying take care of them," knowing that what the story is. He's actually suggesting that Frank take these kids out and kill them, which ultimately ends up happening in the grave.
yeah. Well, yeah, because they kill off the kids that Nicholas like arrests the first night being
Yeah, like everyone.
underage. Like they're like, geez. Also, it's funny, like in the grave, obviously you have the original sergeant is with the great big bushy beard.
Great big bushy beard.
Such a good line. And then you have the living statue is down there. Just they're literally just annoyed by this guy being the
He's just
living
annoyed by him.
yeah. And then like there's a dog down there, like a dog skeleton. There's like a bunch of like stuff down there that it's just insane. Oh, and then like the fuck ugly the guy with
Yeah.
the like why is he covering his face? Oh, he's just fuck ugly. All right. And then the next deaths. So we have was it George Carpenter, right? Or
Yeah,
yeah,
the fridge magnate. Yeah.
yeah, the fridge magnet. Yeah, so the rich guy in the house, he just had a really ugly looking house for the town that didn't match their aesthetic.
Yeah, they're very quick to turn on people.
Yeah, yeah.
They'll never Village of the Year with a house that ugly. So blow it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just blow it
Look
up with
even
a
better,
mixture of corn and beans. Geez. It was so like, and then like he's just drunk, like drinking his pain away of losing like Martin and Eve, that he's like, yeah, he's like pissing in the bar and like,
It's kind of sad. Like
yeah,
at the time, it's just funny jokes, but it is really a horrible story of like murder. So yeah, poor
right,
guy.
right, yeah, poor guy. And then Tim Messenger, which is as a journalism, that was my minor in college. It's just funny that this guy just sucks at journalism so much that he keeps making all these spelling errors, and that's why he dies, because he literally was like just terrible at like making all these errors, and so he just dies.
And then also that scene when he dies and his head just gets like crushed, just like disintegrated. I'm like,
Yeah, it's crazy.
like it's funny, but it's also like horrifying. I was like,
Yeah.
what am I watching?
Yeah, it's so unexpected.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's like
Yes, exactly.
yeah, the first half of this movie is just like a quite mundane police where they're just talking about paperwork and speeding violations, and then you cut to someone getting their head crushed by the church roof, and it's really gruesome practical effect where he's like staggering around with this church roof out of his head.
Yes.
It's like, how did we get here?
Yes.
It's so good. It's so good. And then we have Leslie Tiller that gets stabbed by her own shears, or she tripped and fell on her own shears. Just the dumbest. I like at that point, I feel like I would catch on. I would like know that she was murdered.
But that's also so well done in terms of like us watching, because now we know that he knows, right? Because he
Yeah.
sees it. So
yes,
like we're following him. We're also on this like what is going on here journey that he's on. So like like in terms of storytelling, like going from like they drop the drunk guy off and then like the house explodes, like now he sees it. So now like
yeah,
he gets the confirmation, like good storytelling.
yeah, absolutely.
I love when he goes back into after Leslie dies, when he goes baok to the police station, he puts his pound in the swear jar before he shouts, Leslie Tiller was fucking murdered.
Yeah,
Like he puts it in before. And also on that swear jar, the only word that's not like got an asterisk over the vowel is cunt. It just says cunt.
That's so British.
Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah, so I mean like and then like when he's chasing like the multiple killers, and the fact like we find out later it's because they were multiple killers and not just the one, and that's how they were getting around like the corners so fast and like jumping through the bushes or like whatever. So it's really, really cool. And like you're obviously made to believe again it's Simon Skinner because he does running for fun, and like it's not just him.
Using your skills as a fun runner.
That's also like it's because it's clearly a comedy and like it's so over the top and it's a mystery, but like you kind of know like okay, like this is the bad guy. But then like that it's everybody is also like a good reveal.
Yeah.
That's still fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're like, okay, I was in on this with you and I was in on the jokes, but also I got to be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also like a fun mystery and like a cool reveal, and it's just for such a petty reason.
Yeah.
They just want the
reasoning
village
is
of the year.
Listen, I'm from a small town in Connecticut, and I was like, honestly, I could see it.
This would be the reasoning Sarah would use to murder Kevin. Like,
I wanted Kevin's Town to win Village of the Year. Like, you don't even live there, Sarah.
And it's not going to win. It's not going to win it with Kevin there.
Oh, geez. All right. I mean, any other characters? I did want to say like the third act is like our last discussion point, because that third act is incredible. Like, it's one of the best like third act like set pieces I've ever seen.
It's good, and it's the right amount of like action, shocking, but also funny because like you have these little old ladies in flower shops like pulling out machine guns. It's like
Yes.
it's the perfect combination.
Yeah, the fascist and the hag lines were so good. Where like she just calls him a fascist at the beginning because it's the crossword, and then he just calls her a hag.
Yes.
So good. And then it just calls back to that. And then you have like her husband who's like sleeping at the beginning, and you see like the swords up on the mantle, and then the dude just comes out with like a giant sword, and you're just like, what?
So before we get on to the big final action moment, there is also some really fun cameos in this film. So Janine, who is Nicholas Angel's ex-girlfriend, where she's got the mask on at the crime scene at the beginning, is Kate Blanchett.
Oh,
who,
really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that was Kate Blanchett.
What?
Yeah, and also crazy, the stab wound in Nicholas's hand that they keep asking about, where he gets stabbed by Santa. Santa is Peter Jackson of Lord of the Rings.
Oh, wow.
What?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And we also have Stephen Merchant, who is creator of The Office with Ricky Gervais and X's huge UK comedian over here. I think he just joined the MCU. Or no, Star Wars or something. He joined something. And he's the guy that's looking for the Swan, Mr. Peter Ian Staker.
Yeah, piss taker.
Yeah.
I love how Nicholas like calls that out and just then has to go meet the guy after just yelling at him and calling him piss taker.
Yeah. I'm sure he's heard it before.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, and then we also have Lurch, Michael Armstrong, who just says yarp. Because he literally is a child's mind. It's so funny.
The Hound.
Yeah.
He went on to bigger and better things.
Wait, that's the Hound?
Yeah. From Game of Thrones.
I mean, obviously he had so much like burn scarring on Game of Thrones.
Yeah, he looks different.
He looks significantly different.
Yeah, it's just funny. To have him play like such a simple character that only has one line of dialogue. And like, I mean, he's there to be physically imposing as well and be Simon Skinner's like muscle, but yeah.
Like after he gets taken out and Nicholas is on the radio pretend to be him. And
yes.
Like, yarp, yarp, and then he asks
Narp.
No questions, like narp.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Yeah, and then like we want to get to this final battle now, or anything else to discuss?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously, like you get Nicholas like deciding he's gonna go back after like being told by Danny to like he's got to leave the town, go back to London, and pretend this
Go back
didn't
to
happen.
London.
Yeah. Judge Judy and executioner.
Such a good line.
So he goes back and you have the farmer and his mom, and that's the joke of earlier. The farmers have guns and farmers' moms have guns.
Yeah.
So it's just so funny. So he takes out the farmer and his mom and then gets in the town and you find out Mr. Treacher's trench coat has a shotgun in it.
Yeah, it really like calls everything back into this final fight. It's really good.
Yeah.
There's also I mentioned in the comments when you guys did the Shaun of the Dead thing about how Shaun and Shaun and Ed kind of spell out the entire movie in that bar scene. They do the same thing in this where Danny says to Nicholas, "If you ever fired two guns in the air while jumping through the air, ever been in high speed pursuit, ever fired your gun in high speed pursuit, ever fired your gun up in the air and gone and throughout this battle, all of these things happen."
Yes.
I love the Point Break call back that happens where they watch Point Break and Bad Boys 2, and then like Danny does the Point Break thing of like shooting in the air because he can't shoot his dad. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, so then they start getting in a fight with the town. You have the doctor that like Danny like drops the shotgun and like shoots his foot again. And like, you're a doctor, deal with it.
Yes.
The Reverend, where he's like, stop this mindless violence, and Nicholas has like the line of, I know right from wrong. He's like, oh, fuck up, grasshopper.
Yeah.
And then Jesus Christ is his last line.
Yeah.
Where he gets shot. I believe there's
It's
also
such a genuinely good action scene. It's like, it's
Yeah.
really, really good.
Yes.
It is so good, and like even like the smart ways that people are taken out, like he's shooting like the wheel of the truck so the barrels come and knock out Mr. Treacher, and then like he has the kids run into the store, take out the lady with the sniper. Like it's so intuitive and like fun. Let's see, what other fun stuff is there? They shoot like the bear trap above the bar down on Roy.
Yes.
That's so good. And then yeah, like the supermarket fight scene where like they have to figure out strategy, get past like the truck drivers, the meat collectors, where they're like throwing the cleavers everywhere, and then like they hit the spaghetti sauce. It's like, it's okay, Andy, it's just bolognese.
That's one of my favorite lines of the whole movie, because he's like screaming like he's lost the other Andy. It's okay, Andy, it's just bolognese.
Yes. That was good. Like I said, in general, I just think it's funny that like we have this like serious action set piece where they're like shooting each other and fighting each other, and it's like little old people who are like on like the HOA board and just like want their town to be pretty, and they're like
and they're like, it's just so funny. Like, and then we do get the high-speed pursuit, and the Swan makes Simon Skinner and Frank Butterman go off the road into the model village, which they do reference earlier in the film, like to go live in the model village.
Yeah, fuck off down the model village. Yeah.
Yeah, and so then you get R&A Aronson. The kid. It's like so unexpected. You're not expecting that to be a line that gets called back to, and that's like, it does. But you get so you get the Simon Skinner and Nicholas Angel fist fight on the model village, which is just fantastic.
And then Godzilla versus Kong in this like big.
They're the kaiju.
Town.
Yeah.
And even Simon Skinner's like, it's brutal. It goes through the like bottom of his mouth.
Yes, and it's stinging it, but it doesn't kill him. So then he's still talking.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
Like, this hurts so much.
I need ice cream.
And there's so much ice cream back at the village because of what Danny did wrong at the beginning. They got the ice cream for the month. So it's so good.
And then as I mentioned, the scene with Danny not being able to shoot his dad, and then instead the Swan takes Frank out. Which is so good. And then you think everything's figured out, everybody's back at the station, but you realize that the neighborhood watch guy, Tom Weaver, is still there. So like he hasn't been seen like for this entire third act. So then when he comes out and you're like, oh wait, also the sea mine or the landmine has not come into play yet either. And so it's just so good. And you genuinely almost think Danny just died. So
I think it's a fun way to like this trilogy is connected by actors and writers, but they're each individual things, and there's certain things that call them back, like jumping over the fence that Nicholas does in this one, like Sean did in the first.
Yes, the fence was so good, and this is my favorite fence scene. Nicholas flawlessly jumps over, and Danny just runs through and falls.
So because of those like theme callbacks, when Danny gets shot, you believe it because Nick Frost's character in Shaun of the Dead died at the end. So oh shit, Danny's gonna die at the end, and it's like maybe that's how these films are gonna go. But then they pull it around, and he's actually okay. None of them should have been okay. The damn police station exploded.
Yeah, the entire police station exploded. That was part of, for me, like the thing that I liked, where like we just had the super serious like fight scene, right? Like they're shooting each other, but it's like the old people. So like, yes, it's like there's something serious, but there's something not serious about it at the same time. Which like, so like, oh god, it's the mine, and the mine exploded, and the whole building explodes. But like, it's a comedy, so like they all lived. So like, I liked that.
Yeah. That was really funny. And then like you get the 1 year later, and then you see him go to the grave. It's supposed to be Mrs. Butterman, but you think it's Danny for a second. Then he comes up with like, these flowers are fine, and then you're like, okay, Danny's okay, and it was just them visiting the mom. So that was really cool. So but yeah, I mean, I'm glad that this movie is a standalone. Like, part of me would like love an actual sequel to Hot Fuzz, but then I'm like, this movie doesn't need another sequel. It's perfect the way it is. So
don't ask Simon Pegg that. He's gone on record and said that's his least favorite thing anyone ever asks him is, will there be a sequel to insert name of film here?
Yeah. I get that. So like, I'm not gonna ask for that. Like, but this is definitely like a film that I'll always treasure forever, because I just think it's like the gold standard of comedy. So
I agree. I really recommend like giving it a rewatch as well, Kevin, because it is one of those that when you're watching it for the first time and you're not sure where it's heading or what you're getting, like you pick up, and even that. As I've seen that, I still pick up new things.
Yeah. That's like, after Shaun of the Dead, I could tell that like Shaun of the Dead was that kind of movie that I was like, I don't know if I, but like this is the type of movie that was like good enough on its own. Like, I might go back and rewatch that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sure, Shaun of the Dead is fun. It's fine. But like, do I want to watch it again right away? Meh. But like, this one is like, wait a minute, what did I miss? I know there's more to this. So
absolutely, so if we're giving a rating for this one too, I gave Shaun of the Dead an A still. Maybe that was a little too high, but I do think that film is still really good. I think I'm giving this an A+. Like, I think it's definitely the best of the trilogy. And like,
Jake, you can have whatever opinion you want. If you think that movie's an A, give it an A. Like, who cares? It's your opinion.
Right. True.
I would say this is like I said, this is, if to just watch it one time, it is a good movie. So I'll give it an A.
Michael?
Yeah, I mean, A+. It's my favorite movie of all time. What else could I give it? You know?
Yeah. So this is gonna go above. Good. Yeah, it's gonna go above Shaun of the Dead. So that's the ratings of the trilogy so far. And that means next week we have the final film of the trilogy. And then we do the 2 Home Alone movies. And then we're in December and we have our Florida trip. So Kevin and I will do stuff together.
I don't.
Yeah, sadly, Michael won't be there, but
Michael, just come to Florida.
I can't. Well, I could, but I can't.
Just get a plane. What is it, like a 12-hour ride? It's nothing. It's fine.
I just bought tickets to Download Festival. I don't have enough for another trip.
Sadly. But yeah, unfortunately, Kevin and I have to spend an entire like few days with the pirate. So, but yeah. So next week, we will have The World's End to conclude this trilogy, which is still going to be fun. So I'm interested to rewatch this one. I think this is the one I've rewatched the least. So, I'll be interested to see what I pick up on and just like, you know, the certain jokes that I will laugh at. So, yeah, I'm excited. Any other thoughts before we close this out?
I'm interested to watch this movie because it's your least favorite, but like, will I have the same opinion? Because but I just thought Shaun of the Dead was okay. So like,
right.
Am I also going to think this is, or am I going to be like, no, Jake, like you're crazy because this is actually the best one? I'm interested to see.
I think so. That is my prediction.
Ooh,
yeah. World's End's really fun, but yeah, I think Kevin's gonna love World's End.
All right.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if my opinions go up on the rewatch. I will say like Martin Freeman gets more to do in this next one. You get one of the Andys coming back as a bigger character. You get Pierce Brosnan is in The World's End. So
They got another James Bond.
yeah, did Shaun of the
we get
Dead have a
another
James
James Bond.
Bond? Or like I was gonna say if this trilogy had all James Bond actors in each one. I don't think Shaun of the Dead did though.
No,
Yeah.
it didn't. Missed opportunity. I don't think they
Yeah.
had a budget for a James Bond in the first one.
No. So but yeah, Timothy Dalton and now Pierce Brosnan. So it's gonna be fun to watch. So yeah, with that, yeah, just subscribe to both Reality After Show and the main Tribe of Nerds channel. Also, I will promote Michael and I are part of our Survivor coverage with Matt, our international coverage. We are going to be interviewing more survivors and reviewing South Africa Return of the Outcasts. Immunity Island is going to drop next week. So
That is such a long title.
yeah, Return of the Outcasts. Yeah.
Return of the Outcast, Immunity Island, or whatever you just said. There was
No,
no.
that
two
they're two.
seasons.
Sorry, they're two different seasons.
Okay, I thought it was one season, and I was like, that is like a Twilight Saga, Breaking Dead Part 2, the
Yeah,
final
no.
chapter, Bella's Revenge. Like, that's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah, so the Immunity Island review itself, we recorded, it is dropping
Okay.
Wednesday, and then our Return of the Outcasts will rewatch that season and talk about it, us and Matt. And we are going to be releasing another interview that we're recording tomorrow. We're talking with Chappies. So
We've been talking about Chappies for a long time, so I'm excited for you.
yeah, you should absolutely listen, Kevin. Everybody should listen to us talk to Chappies because he is a riot on the show, and I'm sure he's like gonna be super fun to talk to. So
Yeah, check them out. Really fun, those reviews we've been doing and interviews.
yeah, absolutely. And then I guess once South Africa's done, then I think we have a couple draft podcasts coming up as well for Survivor. And then we have one more international season, I think New Zealand. And then we're basically going to be caught up to watch like the new seasons in Australia versus the world next year. So that's going to be fun to cover live. So I think that'll be a neat experience for like Australian Survivor to watch that live and talk about it each week. So
So,
Yeah,
like,
can't
comment,
wait.
subscribe.
yeah, like, comment, subscribe for sure. That was a long-winded like closing, but had to get a lot of our promotion going. So with that, we will see you all next time on the Tribe of Nerds.
Thank you, Sarah.